Welcome to my Days of Our Lives official channel. I hope everyone is having a wonderful day. Before we begin, please hit the subscribe button and give this video a thumbs up. John receives one ruinous blow after another while EJ decides Tate's fate at the police station. Jada catches Harris up on what they know about Clyde and Goldman's whereabouts, which is important. Harris has a feeling that Clyde will stay original to keep an eye on his business and his people. Jada notes that's another loose end. They don't know who differently was helping him. Harris uneasily shifts and says he has to get going. In the interrogation room, Brady and Teresa yell at Tate for breaking into Holly's room, thereby getting arrested. Tate explains he just wanted Holly to tell the verity so he can come home. Brady says it's what they all want, but breaking the law isn't the way to make that be. In the interrogation room, Tate spreads his hands as he explains to his parents. Across the table, Teresa leans forward and Brady closes his eyes. EJ and Nicole come to see a sullen Holly in her room. She shouts that EJ can't shoot Tate to jail. Nicole defends Tate as an impulsive teenager to EJ. When EJ stands by his conduct, Holly declares Tate didn't medicine her. Nicole wonders how she knows that if she can't flash back anything from that night. Holly mumbles that Tate would no way do that. She begs EJ not to shoot him to jail. EJ will consider it, but can't make any pledges. At John and Marlena's, Steve tells the Ultimate how Victor transferred him and John to shoot a communication to Constantine. They were to just stop him from snooping in Victor's businesses, not hurt anyone. But he heard a projectile and set up John in a reverie. Constantine was still breathing, but the youthful girl next to him was not. In the Black Patch office, Constantine shows John a print of his son Katharina. John doesn't fate her. Constantine finds that perplexing because he's the bone. Who killed her? He recounts how John beat him until he lost knowledge. When he woke up, he saw his son on the bottom, shot by John. A gash falls down John's face. Further, what's coming for Teddy on Gray's deconstruction? At the manse, EJ meets with Harris. The operative asks about Stefan's whereabouts, believing he was involved in Clyde's captivity break. EJ scoffs, averring he knows nothing about Clyde or Stefan. Harris tells EJ he knows Stefan is working with Clyde because he shot him. Alone with Holly, Nicole promises she'll appeal to EJ on Tate's behalf. Holly insists Tate is a good person who wouldn't hurt her. Nicole prodigies if she remembers further about that night than she's telling her. Holly insists she doesn't. When Nicole leaves to get her lunch, Holly hurries out. Latterly, Nicole joins EJ and Harris in the living room, looking for Holly. She leaves upon learning they haven't seen her. EJ tries to get relief of Harris, but Harris demands Stefan's whereabouts. EJ continues stonewalling him. Harris warns he'll find every dirty bastard involved in his mess and take them down. Holly comes to the police station to talk with Tate, but Jada won't let that be. Jada tells her to have a seat and she'll call her mama. Holly gets fired up, defending Tate. Brady opens the hangouts, allowing Tate to see Holly. Nicole rushes into the team room after Jada calls. She orders Holly to come with her. Holly locks eyes with Tate through the window and also reluctantly follows her mama. Tate hangs his head. Further, CBS superintendent addresses plan for the gates in the interrogation room. Jada stands with crossed arms at the table. She glowers at Brady while Teresa looks sympathetically across the table at Tate. Jada comes to the interrogation room to advertise EJ isn't pressing charges. Tate can go back to the halfway house, but he'll be needed to wear a shadowing knee sock. Also, EJ has filed a restraining order. Tate can't go within 100 yards of the manse or Holly. Further, will John forgive Steve? With Marlena, Steve says he didn't see John shoot the girl, but it isn't hard to erect together. Marlena recalls being John's croaker and trying to help him find his identity. How is she just hearing about this now? In trying to keep the secret from John, Steve didn't feel he could tell her moreover. He tried to keep John from chancing out about it, but Constantine showed up and it's been unraveling ever ago. With Constantine, an anguished John gapes at Katharina's print. Constantine explains how he colluded and planned to undermine Victor every chance he got. John cries, averring he doesn't flash back. Constantine vows to make him pay and storms out. Approaching his townhouse, John leans against the door, clinging Katharina's print. Taking a breath, he opens his door. He pauses upon hearing Marlena and Steve agitating what happened in Arya. Devastated, John sluggishly enters. "You knew," he whispers. "My God. You no way said a word to me, but you told my woman." Tate's ankle monitor and restraining order doesn't stop. Holly Days of Our Lives reveals that Constantine Melianis handed John Black a print of Katharina, but John didn't fate her. Constantine told John the story of how the pawn paid him a visit with a communication from Victor Kyriakis and beat him until he was unconscious. When Constantine awoke, Katharina had been fatally wounded, and John was standing there with the gun in his hand. John was distraught despite not being suitable to flash back the fire and admitted he always had a feeling. Constantine hoped that feeling caught John's whole life and made it clear that John was going to pay for what he'd done. At the Townhouse Days occasion, Steve Johnson told Marlena Evans the same story from his perspective. John came home and over here for a moment, so he realized Steve knew about Katharina and no way told him. That led to John defying Steve over his secret and the fact that he told Marlena before him. At the DiMera Mance on Friday's DOL show, Holly Jones defended Tate Black and suggested EJ DiMera had been too harsh by having him arrested. Nicole DiMera agreed that perhaps EJ was overreacting, but he felt that conduct had consequences. When Holly prayed EJ not to have Tate thrown in jail, he at least said he'd consider Tate's options. Once Nicole was alone with Holly, she questioned how Holly could be so sure Tate was innocent on New Year's Eve. Nicole wondered if Holly was covering for Tate, but Holly claimed she just knew he'd no way medicine her. While Nicole was off making Holly a grilled rubbish, Holly snuck out of the house. Nicole returned with Holly's lunch and was surprised to find her missing. Downward, Harris Michaels brazened EJ about Stefan DiMera's whereabouts and allowed. It was awfully suspicious that he faded right when Clyde Weston escaped. Harris said he knew Stefan was working for Clyde and that he now flashed back Stefan pulling the detector on him that night. Since Harris suspected EJ knew further than he was letting on, he pushed EJ to reveal Stefan's position. Still, EJ played dumb and acted like Harris' brain had been climbed too important to be dependable. At the police station on Friday's Days occasion, Brady Black and Teresa Donovan lashed out at Tate for making his legal issues worse, but Tate claimed he'd to see Holly and complained about being railroaded for a crime he didn't commit. Tate admitted he was angry and spooked, so he called himself a clunker for all the miscalculations he kept making. Brady argued that Tate was mortal and tried to assure him along with Teresa. Holly made it to the Salem PD and asked for Jada Hunter's help, but Jada couldn't let her in the interrogation room to see Tate. Once Brady opened the Hangouts on Days occasion, Tate was suitable to change a look with Holly. Jada called Nicole down to the police station, so she rushed over and scolded Holly for running off. Holly tried to explain that she let Tate inside the house, but she got nowhere and was forced to go home. As for Jada, she gave Tate, Teresa and Brady updates on the rearmost news. EJ had decided not to press further charges, so Tate would be transferred back to his halfway house with an ankle examiner. Tate hoped that perhaps Holly could come visit him, but Jada claimed a restraining order now averted him from going near her or the DiMera Mance. Days of Our Lives say Tate's agony has to end ultimately, so stay tuned for further prognostications on how it'll get cleared up. John's guilt, Steve's intel, Holly begs, Harris vs. EJ Days of Our Lives spoilers for Friday, March 14th are then. Constantine Melianis tells John Black a terrible story. Meanwhile, Steve Johnson tells the same story about John to Marlena Evans. Holly Jonas begs EJ DiMera to review. Coming up in Salem, Brady Black and Teresa Donovan reply roughly to Tate's arrest. Plus, Harris Michaels' John Black's guilt DOL reveal that John will go through some serious guilt. John asks Constantine to tell him about his history. Constantine will tell John a story, which is the same tale that Steve shares with Marlena. Also read Steve confesses the time in Arya to Marlena, unaware John is hearkening back to Connie and John, the Greek conman will tell him a story. The story will fill John with so important guilt.